number one. Number two, what is the next steps after that? How do we then ultimately
Okay, I will share with you an idea that incorporates both ends of the spectrum, because I believe the underlying principle applies to everyone. Whether you are trying to escape poverty or whether you are running a large multinational corporation, human civilization is essentially premised on the idea of trust. If you can be trusted to return value when trust is extended to you, if you can repay trust with excellence, that is the set of conditions by which you graduate to the next level. Now that sounds very abstract. Let me unpack what that actually looks like. Say that you are operating in abject poverty, and the best and only thing you can do, you get a job one night, say sweeping a factory floor. It's the best you can get. It is nevertheless a step up. And it is as though the universe is handing you a test, and it is a trustworthiness test. Will you repay that small amount of trust with excellence? Will you A, do what you were supposed to do, and B, will you go a little further than what was expected of you? Will you repay the trust with excellence? If so, a couple of things happen. One, you set up the conditions by which you can continue in that employment, which is already, it's a small step forward, but it's a step forward. The second thing is you create a sort of a tension with the universe that says, I can be trusted with the next thing. So it almost becomes this kind of a contract where the universe says, are you trustworthy? You show that you are. You show that you can go one step further. You create the conditions by which you might enjoy a small promotion. Now let's go to the top of that scale. You're running a large multinational corporation. You do something that is inherently untrustworthy. You do something in the background that is selfish, that is sinister, that goes against the fundamental rules of honest capitalism.
So instead of sweeping up the factory floor, you're sleeping.
The universe has just handed you a test. Can you graduate, or are you going to implode? And how many times over the last 10, 15 years have we seen massive corporations do something untrustworthy, get caught out, and implode? It does happen. It is a shortcut to stealing wealth, but it is just about an assurance that you are going to go out of business over the long term. So
that's a fascinating notion. If I can just pause there for a second, because I mean, it also goes back, it applies on so many levels there, Douglas. I mean, from that high-end Steinhoff example.
Yes. Do you skim? Do you take? Do you steal? Do you take advantage of? Do you do the wrong things, the things that show that you can't be trusted?
Exactly.
You fail the test.
The boss is going to arrive, he's going to look at you and is going to say, but I can't trust this guy. I mean, if I can't trust him to sweep a factory floor, how on earth do I trust him to, I don't know, man reception or the toll
exactly
next
that.
Time, whatever.
And the interesting thing, I think, is that the tests come in disguise, because it is very easy for us to self-justify and say, well, this is what's going on around me. The boss is awful, the conditions are bad, etc., etc. Those observations are true, they are correct, but they are also preventing you from seeing that this is a test. It's not about the boss, it's not about the conditions, it's about you internally and whether you have it in you to repay trust with excellence.
That for me is a fascinating thought, and I think that if people at home can just pause and just think about that for a second, because we all find ourselves in that loop at one stage or the other.
Absolutely, you get caught up in the mechanics of what you do, and you don't think of it in terms of a bigger picture. And that's the job of a person like myself, is to go, hang on a second, zoom back. What are we actually looking at here? What are the parameters?